Okay, today, we've got a class with George, and he's going to talk a lot about sort of meat and potatoes things about making films, what edits will lead to what reaction, what lighting will lead to emotionally with the viewer. I think these are, my presentation is going to be on things that I've learned about film over time that I don't think he's going to be talking about. Now, his stuff is going to be really important, because I don't know how to throw an edit together. I don't know how to make the technology work. But these are some values that I think are equally as important. If we keep this in mind as we're making stuff, we can be more successful. If you're into that. So, lesson number one. It worked. Does anybody know what this is? Anybody know what this movie is?
Swim fan.
Swim fan? You know what this movie is because you're older. But I wanted to say, I hope that nobody knows what this is. I hope it maintained no cultural relevancy past the point. I went and saw this. I was doing film critique for a site, and we went every week. We were just going to pick a random movie, and this came out, and I'm still forming my theory of film critique, and I'm still trying to figure that stuff out. I couldn't figure out. I walked out of this movie, and I was angry. I was pissed off. I don't know why I was so angry with this. So I said, why am I? Because it's competently well put together. You know, there's the acting is fine, the story is fine, everything about it is just fun. So what the hell bugged me about it? This movie was designed purely, and this is the first time I realized this as going to a theater, purely for the marketability. This is going to hit this many viewers. It's PG-13, so everybody can come and see it. So it's going to be a little bit violent, but not too much. It's going to be a little bit sexy, but no nudity. It's not going to challenge the viewer. It's not going to have. It's not going to be a too twisty of a plot. It's not going to do anything other than exist for its time and make money. Sadly, number one in its opening weekend, $11 million, and it is an atrocious piece of garbage. So lesson number one is if you make your film with the primary value of people will come and see this. This is marketable. This is something everybody can latch on to. You will end up with banal garbage. So that's lesson number one. Lesson number two is don't cheat. And I know these things don't look like they apply to each other. But did anybody see Patch Adams?
Yes.
Lots of people have seen Patch Adams. God, what a terrible movie. You should all be ashamed of yourselves. I know, I've seen this too. If you liked it, no, I understand you liking it. Because you're sentimental, right? There's a little sentimental, right? This movie cheats so much. The end of the movie. You remember the end of the movie? They're all in the courtroom, and oh man, is he doing the right thing? Is he not doing the right thing? And then out come the kids with the little clown noses on, and they're crying, and then there's like a slow clap, and it's a cheat. They're all cinematic cheats. Okay, this is, instead of having real content, because you really could have real content in this. If you watch a documentary about this man, he's fascinating. He's an excellent human being. But this plays on emotions. You're using techniques instead of having anything genuine. Battle of Los Angeles is a totally different thing. Actually, I don't mind it that much. But this is sort of like the epitome of using your fast cuts and your crazy shaky cam and throwing everything together, instead of actually having real action happening. It's the illusion of it because you're flying all over the place. So you're like, wow, this is great action, and then it's really just this sort of garbled mess. So, I've got another slide. This right here, so it's not just in how you're throwing a film together, but this uses the most classic sheet. This is really a classic piece of filmmaking. This is written by Agatha Christie. And it's 12 people locked in this house, and they start dying one by one, and you try to figure out who the person is. But when you find out who the person is, I'm just going to ruin it for everybody. If you haven't seen it by now, too bad.
No spoilers.
The killer is the judge character in it. and he dies. He's like the third person in who dies. But you don't let the viewer know that he's not actually dead, so you can just do whatever the hell you want at that point. So viewers back then, they weren't discerning enough to go, oh wow, this is such a, I feel so cheated by this. But I would hope by now we're more discerning. So make the content genuine. If it's a mystery, make it a genuine mystery. If it's tear-jerking, it's because the content is tear-jerking, not because the technique is. That's lesson number 2. Lesson number 3. I say be cognizant of rhythm. And this movie here, I've used examples of things that I don't like initially. I don't know why. This movie, I don't know if anybody's seen this movie?
No.
This movie, not very good. Jason Statham, Clive Owen, Robert De Niro. It's an action movie. It's based on a true story. Should be really interesting and kind of cool, or if not, at least stagnantly like disposable as an action movie. But as I was watching it, I was realizing I started calculating. I was like, why am I so bored? And it's every cut, every edit is 3 seconds or less. There's not a shot that lasts for more than 3 seconds from beginning to end. So, too much of one thing is going to get repetitive and boring. If it's all action and it's all cutting, it's going to be boring. If it's all slow and boring and sentimental, it's going to be boring. If an action movie, Drive is a great example of this. That's slow and everything's breathing, but it has like these bursts of action throughout, right? And that makes those little bursts mean so much more. So I like to try to think of film. If I'm writing something and I've written big, longer things, I try to think of visually like a wave or like a song. I try to think of the rhythm of it. So if I know if it's consistent, if I can do a visual sort of graph of what that seems like, and I'm satisfied with that, let's throw that together, I think you're gonna have a successful movie. Too much of one thing, boring. Nice variance and nice flow. You can have nice swelling. Think of your film, talk about them as a visual medium. Lesson number 4, right? We're on number 4. This is, because right now we're all students, we're all broke, and we're all gonna make things with very limited resources. This is a film called Coffee and Cigarettes by Jim Jarmusch. He's the guy that directed Ghost Dog Way the Samurai, which is... What's that, sorry?
RZA, Jizza, and Bill Murray have a skit in this.
Yes, absolutely. Right on. This is, I think there's 12 of them. They're just little conversations that people are going to have over coffee and cigarettes. Now, he did this. There were film pieces of this, piece of the 12, that he did in film school with no money and no nothing. And they're not enhanced. Like, they don't look, you don't know what they are when you're watching the movie. They look no different from the rest of it. He was making a movie on a shoestring budget that would not be enhanced at all if he had millions and millions of dollars to do it. So when you're doing this, and here's another example, Primer, they made this movie for $7,000. Nothing. And it's fantastic. I don't know if anybody's seen Primer. It's a really clever little thing where they're making a machine in the garage, and it's a group of people making a little machine in the garage, and they realize that one of the side effects of this machine is that it can send people back in time. And so they start playing around with it a little bit, and they start trying to fix things, and it goes off the rails. This movie would not be made any $7,000 if somebody said, hey, here's $100 million. Make this script better. You would never, ever be able to make it better. So, with the resources you have right now, make the movie that you could make better with more money. There's another example. I watched with one of the local actors here in town. He was in a short film in like 2003, and there was like bullet time effects and crazy special effects, and I think everybody was, oh yeah, this is really good, considering you had no money. And if you're leaving a caveat, well, that's really good considering this, your movie's not very good. It's cheesy, it's lame, it sucks. Most important lesson out of all this, how am I doing for time?
10's up.
No, are you serious?
Yeah.
This sucks.
This is
Okay.
the best one.
I know. This is Be self-indulgent. I hear so many times a critic will say, what a self-indulgent, oh man, what a terrible self-indulgent thing. That's the number one quality I look for. If you love it, if you're the person that makes this and so passionate about it, there's going to be somebody else that loves it too. And it's not, I mean, everybody knows, does everybody know this? People that know this either love it or they hate it, and that's fine. If you hate it, that's fine. Don't make something middle of the road, make something that you love. And it can be really successful. I don't understand how Birdman won Best Picture. That sounds like it was a movie that was made for me. I don't know why, but man, it was really successful. Unforgiven is Clint Eastwood. He was doing it based on him being an old-time Western actor. The Artist is a silent film, in black and white. Not marketable whatsoever, just a passionate thing that they were doing. And all of them won Best Picture. I'll leave that with a thought, and because I'm out of time.